Hey there, good evening. Nice to see you. It is time for the Bronx Buzz. This is BronxNet's program where we talk to reporters and writers and editors and people who put stuff out just so you can get some background as to what they're thinking about when they write the stuff that they write and give you a chance to find out a little more about what's going on in the Bronx. In our second segment, we're going to talk to a local opera group, which is going to be interesting. But nonetheless, this will be interesting too. Let's say hello to the bureau chief for Chalkbeat, New York. It is Amy Zimmer. Nice to see you, Amy.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
You wrote a piece, and I was just saying to you earlier that I thought it was fascinating. And I'm going to read the headline: Participation in parent conferences has plunged 40%. And then the question, is Zoom to blame? I thought that was interesting. We want to credit your colleague, Alex Zimmerman. I assume no relation to Amy Zimmer, yeah, who was unable to join us this evening. But tell us a little bit about what the deal is, because parent-teacher conferences, I recall, I mentioned to you both my parents were teachers. This was a very important way of working with families, let's put it that way. So where are we at? What happened?
Right. So parent teacher conferences are really important. They're an important way for parents to know how their kids are doing, to feel more connected to their children's school. And what happened is parent teacher conferences now are remote. That was part of the recent teachers union contract that teachers do remote parent teacher conferences now, unless a parent requests for an in-person conference. But I don't think a lot of parents know that. So for the most part, these conferences are now on Zoom or Google Meet
Wow,
online. And for some parents, they love this, right? It's great.
sure.
They can do this from work during the day. Parent teacher conferences are during the day, some are in the evening.
I think I remember when I was a kid, they were always in the evening, right?
Yeah, well, schools now they have a half a day, and so there's a block during the day, and then they continue during the evening.
Wow.
And so, parents can call during their lunch breaks. We've talked to teachers who said parents will Zoom in from their cars, right? They
Wow.
have childcare.
And this until I read your article, I was somewhat blown away by it, because not only you said it's good for the families to find out what's going on, but it's also good for the teachers. If there's a problem they've been unable to reach a child with, then they can ask, talk to the parents about it. Plus, it helps the teachers sometimes understand who the parents are. So if there is 40% less participation, putting the format aside, that's a problem. But then it doesn't let you, here I am doing a virtual TV show, but certainly in terms of counseling a family or working with a family or learning about a child, that face to face is a very important thing. I would think.
Right. Right. And so
And excuse me 1 second. The whole notion that it's in the teacher's contract, I understand that it requires extra work. They have to be there at night or whatever it is. And so they can also do it from the comfort of their home. I don't know that it's helping our kids do better in school. That's me.
I think it's open to debate because there's
Yes.
some parents who love it. It's more convenient. Those
Yes.
probably tend to be parents who are online, right? Who do Zooms,
Oh, that's another thing.
who
Is
have access
available
to computers
technology.
and
Oh my
who can
goodness.
do that sort of thing. But then, there's a real digital divide in this city. We saw that during COVID. We saw that when schools went remote, there were a lot of families who didn't have access to technology. They didn't have Wi-Fi. There are families who might have cell phones, but they might not have computers at home. And um, we have heard from schools who've said that there's been a big drop off, right? Because it might not be accessible, especially for families where English is not the first language. That's just like this added barrier
Wow,
And
and let's just interject that for a second. So imagine a family speaks Spanish or any foreign language, and of course we New York City and certainly in the Bronx we're a place of immigrants. Imagine if you don't, and then you want to do it, and then you click Zoom, and the communication is even more difficult.
right,
Wow.
right.
Hmm.
And I've heard from teachers who said that parents won't even, click on the email what they get saying, here, sign up for a parent teacher conference. They won't even try. It can be really hard to navigate all the different links. If
Wow.
your kid goes to middle or high school, you have different teachers, there are different signups, these different, some might do Zoom, some might do
Yeah.
Google Meet.
Wow.
It can be really, really confusing if you're not very tech savvy to do it. And some families aren't. And then also, for families who live in shelters, right? You might have
Oh, my
right?
goodness. Thank you for bringing up. And it's one thing to say, well, living in shelters, but we're talking about 10% of the student population in New
Exactly.
York City.
Exactly. So
Oh my
um,
goodness.
it can be
Yeah. Wow.
right. It can be hard. It can be hard. So we looked at some data right from the city, and the numbers are down 40% from pre-pandemic,
Wow.
according to the data that the city has, and that is collected from parent coordinators.
I remember, I'll give you two anecdotes in real life. I mean, for my child, he was in school and there was something he was not doing, and we didn't know about it. But he was with us, with the teacher at the time, and we straightened it out. He's an adult now and doing very, very well and is successful in his world, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But we were able to address a question very directly, and go back and forth. And I also remember another instance where the teacher was not doing the right thing, and we were able to talk with them about it, and deal with it. I think if we had Zoom at that time, it might have been a little more difficult to really communicate on either.
Right.
Um,
And we've heard a few things, right?
wow.
So when you're in the classroom, you're there, you see the work. You see the work.
Yes, you see what's. Yep.
The teacher can show you your kids' work. You can see other work hanging on the wall,
Yep.
maybe, so you know what's going on. So there's that aspect that you
You
don't
are
get.
right. What I'm interested in is the question of whether teachers are also frustrated about it, because we've talked about how the interaction works both ways, and it's helpful for both parents and teachers. Do you think the teachers will go back to their union and say, maybe we ought to alter this? Or am I just dreaming in my own little world here?
That seems unlikely. I mean, obviously,
Really?
there were teachers who pushed for this, and that's why it was in the
Yeah.
contract. However, I will say that there are some teachers who I think are also frustrated. I talked to one who felt that the conversations that he has with parents felt a little more superficial on
Yes.
Zoom.
You also brought up something that I thought was fascinating, and I have an example from one of my children's visits. There were things on on the walls. The teacher was wanted to teach about slavery, but he had it up there so, like, while you were learning math, you'd see the words slavery and slaves, and it just was not appropriate. Not that, of course, we should be teaching about all that stuff in our history and about fairness and equality and everything else. But the way it was presented was like that's what children need to be looking at all day long. And of course, we got to change. So I think there's a lot there. I want a funny anecdote. I'll tell you a funny, which I've never said this publicly. 10th grade, my parents went in to see my chemistry teacher, and she said, "Oh, you're Gary Axelbank's parents. He's delightful. He sits in the front and he's always bright and he always has something to say. Of course, he's no student, but he's a wonderful boy." So there we are. And now I became a talk show host. What can I tell you? She was foreshadowing my future. So this is really part of, I guess, the communication. I call it a communications epidemic, that we're not communicating as well. And if we could be a little more touchy feely and get next to each other, I do think it's fascinating, and I appreciate you for bringing it up. I want to bring up another kind of nice story that you wrote about, everything is not all terrible in our schools. And the title was How Running Track Led This Bronx Middle School Teacher and Coach Full Circle. Running track changed the course of Elias Cruz's life. Tell us a little bit about Elias Cruz and what this was about.
Yeah, so he is a middle school teacher in the Bronx, and he
Let's see, that's PSMS 15. Do I have that right? Yes.
That is where he went to school.
Right.
And now he is teaching at a different school, but in the same neighborhood where he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of cool, right?
Yeah, of course.
So he's now at a school called the New School for Leadership in the Arts in the Bronx. So,
and how did track change his life, and how did running track make him better off, and make, of course, the students he works with better off?
Yeah. So, he ran track. He started when he was in middle school. He had an English teacher, a middle school English teacher, who is still his mentor, which is kind of amazing.
That is kind of amazing.
Yeah. And so, he started running. He did it with his friends just because they wanted to see who could be fastest. And, it started really building him as a leader. And then when he got to high school, he would help the younger kids. And, he recognized, he would write down all of his exercise routines, and then he would share them, and he would help other kids improve. And he realized that he was as he said, he was building this culture of teaching within himself.
Listen, this we only have a few seconds left, but this is the bottom line for education. If you learn something, you and it works for you, you internalize it, and then you go out and embody that in the long run. I mean, I think, to me, and the reason I brought it up is it can work. And
Right.
Especially, to me, what really works is these extracurricular programs. He didn't get that through sitting in math. Not that he may be a bad or good math student, but he got it through the extracurricular activities. Amy Zimmer, this has been a pleasure. You're the bureau chief at Chalkbeat, New York. Your work is so important to us, and I'm going to guarantee you we're going to invite you back.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.
Great. Thank you. We're going to take a short break. And then, as I said, we're going to go and do opera in a Bronx neighborhood. Don't go away.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker horde.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Is it time yet?
It's time.
Come start time for dinner.
Oh, terrific.
Pasta dinner.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I am thrilled because we love to talk about the arts. We love to promote the arts. And so Cheryl Warfield, who's an opera singer and teaching artist at the Moore Opera Community Chorus. Nice to see you, Cheryl.
It's a pleasure to be here. Nice to meet you, Gary.
And let's also say hello to my buddy, Ray Pultinas, who I had no idea was part of this Moore Opera Community Chorus. Ray, of course, runs the James Baldwin Outdoor Learning Center over there Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons at DeWitt Clinton High School. Nice to see you, Ray.
Yeah, nice to see you, Gary.
Always good. Cheryl, let's talk about the Moore Opera Community Chorus. Tell us all about it. Who is it? What is it? And why are we here? What are we doing?
So, well, first and foremost, we are a chorus of about 22 singers currently, and primarily older adults, but mostly people who live in the amalgamated housing, and actually open to all ages. Mm-hmm. And we are here to talk to you in part to invite more people to participate. But right now we have this fabulous chorus with a men's section of 6, including Ray, which makes us really excited. And we have a holiday concert coming up on the 14th of December. And we want to invite everyone to attend it.
Okay, so it's the 14th of December at Vladeck Hall in Amalgamated Houses.
That is
correct.
And
what time is it going to start? Let's just get that.
2 p.m.
What, 2 p.m. in the afternoon? What day of the week is that?
It'll be a Thursday.
A Thursday. Okay, there we go. Bronx is the home of hip hop. Bronx is the home of doo-wop. Bronx is the 2 different types of doo-wop. Bronx is the home of Latin fusion and salsa. We know all about our history and music. People would not, or would be surprised, would not be aware that we have opera singers in the Bronx, right? I mean, this is
we have opera
of course
singers.
we have the Bronx Opera. I realize that, but without realizing that there are communities that do this.
Well, yes. First of all, I come to the Bronx by way of the Bronx Opera, and it was through the Sukasa program that is it was administered by the Bronx Opera, but on behalf of the City Council, that I first came to the Bronx. And I originally started the chorus at the Jazz of Van Cortlandt Senior Center, and that was back in 2018. And the older adults just really loved the program. Before COVID, we had about 25 singers. And then once COVID happened, we had to pivot and actually started to do a virtual chorus.
Wow.
And we did that for 2 years. When we came back, there was a new administration at Jazz of Van Cortlandt, and they decided they didn't want a chorus.
What?
And so I have to say that my older adults galvanized to find a new place for us to be able to work together. And we ended up with 2 places. The first one being Vladeck Hall, periodically, where we do performances, but also at the James Baldwin Outdoor Learning Center.
There you go.
We just did a performance on Saturday.
You have basically answered what my next question was going to be. Is it a hard sell? But it sounds like that there are people who love this music, who maybe even grew up listening to this music, maybe even grew up singing it, and they want to do it, right? I mean, you're doing well.
Absolutely. I am actually tickled pink that with what has been happening with the programming. We have new people joining all the time. And yes, people want to sing. And also, one of the things that I've heard is that it's just so amazing after COVID and everything. This is a release.
To get people together, yeah. Ray, you and I have been friends for, I don't want to even count how many years, but we've known each other. We've talked about all kinds of issues and all kinds of things. I had no idea that this was of interest to you. Did you grow up listening to opera, singing opera? Or tell me where we are at.
I'm pretty much a rock and roll fan and progressive music.
This is what I thought. That's what I thought.
But Cheryl brought more opera to the farmers market when we first opened in 2020, and at first she shared her voice, which carried. I'm sure people might have heard it at the amalgamated buildings if they were listening, because her voice is so beautiful and it carries so well. It kind of just was so special. And eventually she invited Sung, my wife, and I to join the chorus, and
And you couldn't resist.
we love it. Actually, it's I appreciate classical music, and I always did. I listened to it a bit, but singing it is really fun.
And
we're also a lot more like spirituals and things like this that are also fun to sing.
And you understand this as well as anybody, the beauty of doing it on a local level. Listen, we hope everybody becomes a star. We all want to be rich and famous, but doing it on the local level, there must be something really wonderful about it. People getting together and working together on a project like that. That's how we keep communities alive, right?
Yeah, I mean, we pride ourselves on being hyper local, but we've attracted so many beautiful people and artists. We also have a artist in residence who's done quite a few installations at the site of JBLC. So it's feels like really awesome to be integrated into the community. Whenever I'm at the garden, I 3 or 4 people stop by just randomly, and to say hello. So it
Wow.
really feels like,
say hello as a result of you singing with this.
well, no, because of the farmers market too, of course,
Well, that's
being
right.
there every Saturday. But we really just feel like we're part of this great local community of really super people.
This is really, listen, I have my grandparents lived in Amalgamated, so I know it obviously very well. This is among the kinds of things that have helped that community survive for all these years. All right, talk is cheap. Music really works. Anderson has a clip to show, so we pulled a short clip out of some of the videos. Ladies and gentlemen, more opera community chorus. All right, there we go. Congratulations on that. I mean, this is just it's just extraordinary. And you know what's interesting, when you hear your voice and then you see regular Bronxites sitting and listening, to me that's just incredible. It's incredibly exciting. What about let's ask you, Cheryl, the selection of material and how do you decide like what you're going to work on, and then training people? I mean, give me a whole thing on how we actually put this together.
Sure. So hopefully you will also show a brief clip, at least, of the entire chorus singing. I'm hoping. But one of the things I can say is that the approach is constantly evolving depending on who joins us. And so first and foremost, if you have not ever sung in a chorus before, if you've only sung in the shower, or if you've not sung at all, you are welcome, because I can train anyone to sing. And we have to start with the basics, which we do. And so that's some ear training and just hearing sounds over and over again, hearing intervals and breathing exercises, also training people, to have the correct posture to sing. And so all of that goes into the training that you receive. But then in terms of the repertoire, it really depends on the number of singers that we have. And now that we have 6 men in our chorus, which is so amazing.
And it was mostly women before.
It was mostly women.
Wow.
And it seems like with each new session, we get a new gentleman joining us, so that now we actually
like Ray, who's
Ray.
right here.
Yes, and by the way, Ray is a very fine singer.
Ray, can you launch into something real quick, or is that not fair of me?
Well, I let's see.
And if not, it's okay.
How about the Dona Nobis? Dona
Nova.
I don't want to push it. Yeah. Listen,
I knew you were going to ask me. Yeah, I would have prepped.
I like to put people on the spot.
To say about Cheryl, in prepping for this interview, one of the things that really is a great reward is, really her confidence, or building confidence in our vocal ability, right? Cheryl just said that she could teach anybody to sing, and I really not
Uncle Gary
you.
over here. Even me. All right. Listen, we did not have it ready to go. We're going to show you 30 seconds of the chorus so that people can see what it is. So through the magic of TV, let's do that. All right, there it is, the Moore Opera Community Chorus. So Cheryl Warfield, set us up for what's coming up once again, and let's get everybody out there and enjoy some beautiful music by beautiful Bronx people.
Yes, so coming up at Vladeck Hall on Thursday, December 14th at 2 p.m. will be our holiday concert, and it's going to include some Hanukkah and Christmas favorites, and also a sing-along for the audience to join in. We're really very excited about that because we want
come one, come all. Yeah, well, I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're going to run out of time. Ray Pultinas, and it's free, absolutely. Ray Pultinas, let's see you Saturdays at the James Baldwin Outdoor Learning Center. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Just to mention, we are closed for the season.
Okay.
So we'll see you again in June at the farmers market, but we'll do some monthly events.
Or we'll see you singing at Vladeck Hall. Cheryl Warfield, Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll tell you this was what we always do at the end of our programs. We certainly want to thank Amy Zimmer from Chalkbeat for joining us. And, if the curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise, we'll be back next week. That's what we do. Good night. Happy holidays, everybody.